All right, here we go. We are back at it. My name is Matthew Joseph. I'm the host of the Stronger Together podcast, and I want to thank Identity Automation for being my partner for FETC 25 to hear the voices from FETC and get you excited. It is about a week away, and I was just chatting with our next guest, Dan Thomas, that he'll be heading out very shortly. So, Dan, welcome to the Stronger Together podcast, getting us ready for FETC. How are you bright and early this morning?
Oh, just glad to be here, Matt. I'm excited about heading to my first FETC next week.
Wow, I'm surprised. Like, I see some of these impactful educators like yourself, and recently I talked to Kim Zajac, and she said the same thing. It was it's first time, and it's been an event for me it's been an annual event probably for 8 years because I really just enjoy the people, the tracks, and everybody brings something different. Where I'm an assistant superintendent, you're an impactful classroom educator. We all can learn from each other. So, for those who don't know you or your work, share a little bit about what you do.
Oh, I'm a middle school, high school STEM teacher in Jamestown, New York, and about south of Buffalo. And I've been in the classroom for about 32 or more years. Holy cow, it's been a while.
Wow.
Um, Love my job. Don't haven't worked a day in my life. I love doing what I'm doing. I love working with the kids, and I get to have fun and watch the kids learn and do stuff. It's kind of fun.
No, and I'm always impressed with educators like yourself who that you've dedicated your whole career to that, where I've done a lot more bouncing around and trying different things. So it always impresses me. And then again, another thing that is exciting about FETC is that it brings all experiences together where you are bringing your classroom experience. So I know your sessions, you're going to be talking about that. Like the first one that you have, January 14th, 1:30. Make sure to check out Dan's session, The Power of Project-Based Learning in STEM Education. So for those looking through the agenda and see that come up, what are they going to get in that session?
Oh, we're gonna just it's a mobile media session, so it's a 1:30 to 4:30 thing. I
Ooh.
believe it rotates every half hour.
Oh yeah,
Again,
one of
I'm
those.
new to all this, so this one's gonna be interesting. So I get to do the same thing over and over again, which is gonna be fun and get to meet a lot of people. But what we're looking at here is, I've done project-based learning since before project-based learning was a thing.
Yeah.
And so I just want to get that out there and explore how the kids can discover the curriculum and discover things, and come up with their own unique solutions to things where it's more than just a test and more than just a multiple choice worksheet or something like that. Which again, there's always places for those things in there, but they're building something. They're doing something with their hands, and and I want to relate it to what's real in their lives, so it has meaning to them and they can have some ownership of it.
Yeah, and I think it brings another aspect that I saw you speak about at a recent event at NiceGate was where's the fun in that? And how are you bringing the joy and passion back into learning in the work that you do?
Oh well, we I use the word play a lot. We don't go to work. We play with things. Sometimes to the detriment of some of my admins when I say I have some toys in my classroom, and I refer to toys in my classroom like a 3D printer and things like that. But we have fun. We play. What's nice about my job and the way I do things in my classroom is I get to meet the kids and I get to go beyond the student number, go beyond the work on the test, I can find out who they really are. And then what that does for me too is that allows me to tailor things to individual kids. Um, so again, it's the way I've always done things because of the nature of the classroom. We're up, we're hands on, we're up out of our desks, we're making a mess. It's loud, it's noisy, um, and we screw things up and we celebrate.
Okay.
Oh my God, do we screw things up? But that's where the learning happens. We make mistakes. Like I tell the kids, you fell off your bike the first time you rode it. When you learned to walk as a toddler, you fell over a lot of times. I mean, heck, I'm
Sure.
54 and I still fall over. Um,
Okay, as long as you get up, right?
that's right. And so I think our kids are conditioned to find out what the score is on that test, to play the
Sure.
game of school, and that's going out there and that's been around for a while. Um, and changing that mindset into being able to grow with some things and not be afraid to take the risk that I think um, school sometimes takes away from the kid a
Sure.
little bit. I was a sports coach. I coached football and swimming for a long time, And I kind of take that same mentality, right? You're into athletics and your BC Eagles,
There you go.
all that stuff, and I like to play some golf. So a lot of things that happen in that stuff outside of the classroom and in athletics and in music, in art, mistakes happen, and sometimes that doesn't translate into a classroom. So I try to bring that joy, and we celebrate epic mistakes as much as we celebrate epic successes.
Yeah, I
And I
think
think
for
that's
me,
key too.
absolutely, because you build that resiliency. That's how work is. That's how we, presentations we do. Some are, people walk away inspired. Some were like, okay, I could have seen a better one. Like, there's always something you can improve on. And I think for me, celebrating attempts has been a big part of the work I do. And I know in the design thinking that you do, that is a major part of it. But how do you change the mindset of students? Like, how do you get through to them?
I ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
We joke around a lot. I like humor a lot. Obviously, I mean, like, where's the fun in that? That stems back
Right.
to me myself growing up. So, I mean, that was something that was nature to me growing up. Was because that's what we did in my house. But what I try to do with the kids is I ask them questions,
Okay.
and I'll say, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's not the end of the world. We're still going to solve the problem, but man, it might take you 34 times to do it, where it might take another student 16. And as long as they get something out of it, as long as they learn what they're doing, um, that's the important part. And again, I tell my kids, I don't really care about that end product. The end product's going to be the end product. It
Sure.
might be the neatest thing ever, and it might not be. But how do we get from A to B? And I think that's the resilience piece, the persistence piece that we talk about a lot in education lately.
Excellent. So that is a mobile mega share. I think that is that you. Yes, it
Yes.
is. So South 320 GH 1:30 on Tuesday. The pre-conference with other people. So come to see Dan and many other events that are happening in that same space. And then you have the day off on Wednesday, and then you're back at it on Thursday, cultivating computational thinking skills across the STEM curriculum. So this is a leadership roundtable and a 60-minute session. What are folks going to take away from this session?
From that one, we're looking at, I think, like I kind of referred to earlier. Kids play the game of school,
Sure.
as do teachers, as well. We all to some degree, and
Right.
going back to afraid to make mistakes and how do I get from point A to point B? They've been um, spoon fed and recipes and things like that, and and and
Right.
and that's not the way they're going to work when they get a job. That's not the way you and I work in our job.
No.
Um, and so I want to get out there. How are we going to get these kids to think on their own, to come up with some ideas, to solve some problems? And again, it goes back to that PBL piece where it's got to be meaningful for them.
Sure. And like, how do you prepare for that?
To get computational thinking out there? What
Yeah,
do you
like for teachers who are like, oh, that's just in STEM class, or oh, that's just in insert, whatever. How
it's
do you
it's
make that
everywhere.
shift?
It's everywhere. I personally, I like to use, and you're gonna laugh at this one, I like to use a lot of Lego bricks.
Shocker, right?
Uh, Shocker, if you know me, I love to play with my Lego bricks in my classroom, out of my classroom, wherever. But it's such a great medium for doing some things like that because you can make the blocks mean anything.
So
But we
first, go ahead.
but we're trying to break some things down because a lot of the kids, you've been in the classroom and you've given your teachers some things. The first part of computational thinking is breaking things down into smaller steps. What
Sure.
what are we trying to get out of it? And I think that getting over that hurdle because the kids see or your teachers see this big project that we're working on, and they get it, they get paralysis by analysis.
Sure.
They don't know where to start. And we just got to break it down a little bit. We got to say, okay, what's the first thing we got to do? The old adage, how do you eat an elephant? One
Well,
bite at a time.
perfect. Now, you also took on a new challenge this year with launching a podcast. Talk a little bit about that.
Oh, my podcast, the Tech Ed Clubhouse podcast, has been kind of brewing in the back of my mind for a while, and thanks to this guy, Matt Joseph, and the X Factor EDU podcast network, I was able to launch it, get some sponsorships with Lightspeed Systems, and For Golf Grips was one that reached out to me because it's a golf related
Awesome.
podcast, to be honest with you. And so because I like to equate what happens in the golf course and in golf, because I think it really reflects what happens in life and in classrooms. Um, so I talk about STEM and I talk about PBL and project based learning. Throw in some ed tech in there, but and everybody talks about AI, Matt. That's out
Sure.
there everywhere. So, but that's now we're getting into the how do I use it? How do I incorporate it? What am I doing? Um, so CTE, career and technical education, STEM, PBL. How can that be ingrained into regular classrooms? Because it should be. Tech and STEM shouldn't be all alone by itself. It needs to be integrated into classrooms. And I've been doing it since before it was a thing. I've been doing it
Sure.
for since '93.
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive. Impressive. First time at FETC. What are you excited about?
Oh, just looking back at NICE this year, we had a lot of people coming into NICE that are not New York people,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah, that's true. Like me.
yourself included.
Yep.
Uh, um, but I'm looking forward to meeting some people that you talk to online like this in this environment that I've
Hmm.
talked to since COVID time, and meeting some people in person and talking to some people that have just because to me, Matt, really, like, I like to go to conferences, and I think the real learning happens in the hallways
Sure.
and over a cup of coffee or whatever else, at the refreshment bar or something. I think a lot of good learning and discussions happen, not necessarily inside the sessions. You get a lot of stuff in the sessions, but you get a lot of input and a lot of different points of view, which is huge.
I'm sure that's going to happen, and just to be in that environment, and it's a little bit warmer. However, I hear it's going to be a little
A
bit
little bit.
chilly when we're down there as well. And I read on the invite list that I'm going to see you at the pickleball event. So what are you a player? Are you just going to socialize? Where are you in the pickleball realm?
I've never picked up a pickleball paddle.
Okay.
However, I don't like to lose things.
Okay.
And, definitely going to compete. Definitely going to socialize. Again, meeting some people that I've talked to online. I've dealt with uh, the people from Magic School. I've been using Magic School for a while. In fact, our school just bought it, so I'm
Oh,
glad that
great.
they're a sponsor of this, and it's going to be fun. I've never played, and it's not going to be 18 degrees and a winter storm warning as it is here today in Western New York.
Oh boy, that's chilly. Um, so as we kind of wind down and we think about the event, how are you going to learn at this event? What are some things you're going in either from the expo hall or sessions? What's something that you're like, all right, this year I'm going to take a couple of these nuggets away besides meeting some people?
Oh my, you know, as you know, I'm transitioning out of the classroom. I'm retiring
Yep.
this year. I just want to see what people need, and if it's something I'm finding that I have a something to say in my 30 years experience. So I want to see what people are doing and what their needs are, so that maybe I can help meet them. And because I'm never going to stop teaching. I'm never going to stop learning. I'm never going to stop growing, because that's just who we are as educators. That's just
Sure.
what we do. So I want to see what's cool and what's coming up, and what are some trends that are coming up in education, because I think it's there's some good things coming.
I like it. I like it. Well, thanks for getting up bright and early this morning to hear a little bit about your sessions. Again, make sure as a recap, if you're there on Tuesday, hit up the mobile mega share at 1:30. You'll get to see Dan and some other amazing educators share their stories and resources. And then again, he'll be back at it on Thursday, January 16th at 1 o'clock. And as he shared, we'll be there for the entire 3 days to make sure to stop by, say hi, and maybe book yourself as a spot on his podcast coming up for sure.
Definitely.
I like it, and you can't see the back of my computer, but he has some cool stickers too, that he'll be hopefully bringing down with him and handing out.
Always,
I like
always.
it. I like it. Well, Dan, thanks so much for stopping by, and I will get to see you in just about a week.
I can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for stopping in. And for those who are continuing to watch, stay tuned because we have a week's worth of pre event interviews coming up, and then we'll be live 2 days thanks to Identity Automation. Make sure to check out their booth in the vendor hall. We'll be there Tuesday and Wednesday podcasting. Stop by. We'll be live. So walk by, say hi. We look forward to seeing you. So, Dan, thank you for coming on. And for viewers out there, keep tuning in to see all of the great voices from FETC. Dan, see you in Orlando.